My name is Rachelle Smith, entrepreneur, professional speaker, and author. Last time, I highlighted some of my undercover lessons, and I look forward to continuing that conversation next time. But this time, I actually wanted to discuss, drop in a little bit of personal commentary regarding my recent trip to Louisiana and Mississippi. And as many of you know, I actually posted it on Facebook. My grandmother passed away on March 28th. She was 88 years old, and it was my paternal grandmother. And so my father is actually the second oldest of 15 children. And so there are actually 14 who are still living. My Uncle James actually was killed in Vietnam. And so it was a celebration of life. As you can imagine, I have tons of cousins. And so ironically, it was like a massive family reunion. And on my mother's side, she lost her mother many, many years ago. And there was actually 10 of them, 10 children on my mother's side. And my mother was a twin. And my mother's twin actually passed away during childbirth. So there were 9 of them growing up. So very large families in the Mississippi Delta. And so just a sad occasion. But one thing that certainly stood out to me was the scripture that was used, of course, on her program, but it was actually also on the top, the inside top of her casket. And that is 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought a good fight. I have finished my course, and I have kept the faith. And so, I'm on here all the time talking about persevering through adversity, through obstacles, through struggles, through hardships in life, because folks, we all face them. And my grandmother in particular, for probably about the last 4 or 5 years, had gotten sick off and on. There were several scares and emergency room visits and hospital stays, but she persevered each and every time and kept on keeping on. And so just a remarkable woman, a woman of strength who certainly left a legacy of strength and determination. And I can certainly see how I was able to pick up those traits as well, obviously through my father, but also through my mother's side. So I shared some, kind of family insights in my first book, where I talked about the fact that my paternal grandfather, who passed away many years ago, he never made more than $2 an hour. Okay, and my mother's side, she was a house cleaner, so she worked for doctors in town and this and that, and she had all of those children. So both of my parents were raised in abject, absolute poverty. And so they definitely have a heart for people who are struggling, who are having a tough time because they faced so much of it themselves. And so certainly, again, a lesson that I've learned, and people will tell me, Rachelle, you're so down to earth, you're so easy to talk to. Of course, once they get to know me, and I often tell people, listen, I am from a working class family. My grandparents were very poor. My parents were very poor growing up. And so it was a sad occasion, but also it certainly breathed new strength and new determination and new focus into my life. And so it was a sad occasion, but I'm certainly grateful for my grandmother, for my grandmother's life, for all of my aunts and uncles on my father's side as well as my mother's side. So just wanted to highlight that. And while it was the visit obviously was for a sad occasion, it was a very good visit, very, very good visit overall. I had a wonderful opportunity, of course, to see my parents, and my brother came to town. And I was so happy, folks. My brother got me a Amazon Fire Stick. And so my brother is always the one who helps me to reach the next level in terms of technology. And so got me that Fire Stick, and I'm just watching yesterday. I'm just still so amazed of it. I'm actually watching live TV from Santo Domingo. And so never in a million years, and I sent him a text that I think I would be watching Dominican TV from the comfort of my couch, And of course, you all know I love the Dominican Republic, want to retire in Santo Domingo. Just a wonderful, wonderful country. Absolutely love it. And so I wanted to also share some of my undercover visits. I actually did a few of those while in town. Very, very interesting. Always enlightening. And there was actually one in particular, colleges are always just education. Higher education is a very big passion of mine. And so I had the opportunity to actually spend time at 2 different colleges, one a traditional state university, but also second was a for-profit college. and I've shared some insights from for-profit college, but very, very interesting concept in terms of how each different for-profit college handles things. And as you well know, I'm bound by confidentiality, but that person, you could tell that there was not a lot of sales pressure in terms of enrolling, getting people in to sign up for these programs. And so I was glad to see that, and the admissions counselor, did a great job, and was happy to see that young people aren't going to be pushed and manipulated and pressured into that particular location of the college. Again, it's can't make broad generalizations because I just visited that one particular location in Louisiana, but did a great job. And but one thing that the counselor did say to me was, and clearly was trying to impress me, and well, this person's gone on to an Ivy League university, and I said, oh really? Yeah, that's great. And then she says, yeah, he went to Vanderbilt. And those are situations, and in terms of not blowing your own cover, because I'm sitting here thinking, okay, the admissions counselor here is clearly trying to impress me by telling me this, but doesn't even know what the 8 universities and colleges are that represent the Ivy League. And so I just so insightful. It's just little things like that. So that's why I always challenge people, know your stuff, particularly when you're trying to persuade someone, trying to sell someone on an idea, or to do something, or to gain their commitment. Make sure that the case that you're building is built upon facts. Just make sure you know your stuff. And on the receiving end, recognize too that a salesperson may not know his or her stuff, or someone in a role like that. So it's important for you to do your research, and And so of course, I'm coming in as a prospective student here for the associate's degree program, and so that was just so interesting. And my father, when I came home and was telling him my mother about it, and my father said, see, I wish I would have known where you were going. It was so funny. He said, I would call them and say, there's going to be a lady coming in there to get more information on the associate's degree program, and you're going to think she has no education, but she really has 2 master's degrees. And so it was so funny. Of course, he was joking, whatever, and so my family just gets a real kick out of my undercover visits, as do I. A couple of other visits, very negative experiences, and I could spend a whole episode just talking about those too. But as I often say, and as I'm going to point out on Wednesday, you'll see the episode I'm talking about when I talk about hiring and the people that you hire. So those 2 instances certainly relate to that. And so you can listen more on an overall perspective on hiring and the importance of hiring, looking for outliers and not just settling, and for anyone who wants to come work for you, be discerning, have standards. And that will certainly change the experiences for customers, potential customers. And so that's all I want to say on that. Wonderful. I actually took a fitness, I'm a member of Bel Air Fitness there in Louisiana, wonderful gym, love that gym. And so, but there was a brand new gym in town, brand new YMCA, 60,000 square feet, $17.5 million facility. And I've been, listening and following the developments on this story. As my parents told me last year, we're getting a new YMCA, yada, yada, yada. And my dad actually is a member of another fitness club, but is actually planning to leave that club and join the YMCA because they have a Olympic-sized pools, massive pool. So I took a fitness holiday one morning from Bel Air, had a guest pass to the YMCA. It was a remarkable, just a beautiful facility. Anytime something's new, it's going to have all this state-of-the-art stuff. So it was a wonderful facility itself. But while I wasn't undercover, it was a very interesting experience in terms of going in and things like that. And I went in on a Sunday, took a tour, and that was a very interesting experience that I ultimately shared with the executive director when I got back home here in Michigan. But Sunday, long story short, went in for a tour, and it's still a fairly new facility. I think it's been open for about 2 weeks officially now, 2.5 weeks maybe now. And so went in, I'd like to take a tour, and what I realized is that the sales process was broken. And like I said, I wasn't undercover in that case, but when I am undercover, whenever I get a sense that the sales process is broken, that's when I'm very, very quick I'm going to blow my own cover. I recognize that. And the feedback that I provide, it's going to be very clear who I am and who's giving that particular feedback, because I have a sales background, sales training, And so it's very important for me because, again, organizations thrive and survive based on their sales. And in a gym and a facility, their ability to enroll new members and retain new members is just absolutely critical. And I do not want to see any organization, any company struggle because of a broken sales process. And it's just, again, I really care. I want that facility to succeed. It is brand new, the only Olympic-sized pool in the area, and people are all over it already. And so went in for that tour, and so you've got a couple of people up front, and so they're responsible for everything, just regular front desk responsibilities, but they're also signing up kids for different sports programs, and as I learned, they're also responsible for giving tours, and so they're very busy. And so when they get a person coming in for a tour, there's kind of this whole song and dance of, do you want to just walk around and see yourself? And so, there's that aspect, but essentially these people are busy. They did not want to give tours because they had enough on their plate already. And so there's the facility does not have designated membership representatives or salespeople or account managers, anything like that. And so it's kind of that responsibility is given to the people up front. But unfortunately, like I said, they're busy. They don't want to do it. They don't have time. So I went and asked for a tour. The first lady said, well, I can't do it because I'm trying to register people for this T-ball program. And then the guy next to her, he was busy with a customer. And they're also, in addition to all their other responsibilities, where people do sign up, the front desk people have to sign them up as well. So they've got a lot on their plate. So he was helping someone. And then she told him, hey, so-and-so, I want you to help her, give her a tour as soon as you're done. And he said, okay, no problem. So while he wrapped up with that person, I used the restroom, came back out, and I'm standing there, and he just completely is just focused, just pays me no attention. And I had to politely remind him, I'm waiting on a tour. Oh yeah, that's right. So comes from around the desk, and we walk about probably 10 feet, and there's some flyers about the different programs and the pool, open hours, all of that. So he's giving me a flyer, and then he sees the maintenance guy come by. He says, hey, so-and-so, and I'm not going to reveal the names, but I did reveal the names when I reached out to the executive director. Hey, so-and-so, can you give this lady a tour? Are you doing tours today? And then the maintenance worker says, oh, sure, I can help you out. I can give a tour. And so, folks, long story short, we're walking around this facility, and this maintenance worker, I'm almost 100% certain his background in maintenance was not in gyms and fitness facilities, because he knew nothing. I mean, just imagine, and again, from a sales perspective, I'm listening to this, and I'm just floored, because you've got someone in a sales role, and part of sales, like I said, is product knowledge, service knowledge. It's hard to persuade someone to do something or to buy something that you know nothing about. And so, but he was very humble, a friendly, cordial man. Again, not, nothing personal, but just from a sales perspective, to have him put in that role where he's the maintenance guy and you're asking him to potentially sell people memberships or get people to sign up and enroll. And that was a broken sales process, because I'm walking around, and again, I have a fitness background. I know my stuff. And so I'm listening to this, and I'm thinking, if I were a novice and had never stepped foot in a gym, there's no way in a million years would have joined that gym based on that experience. And so recognize, again, I have all types of people who watch these episodes. You may own a gym. You may own a franchise. You may be a manager, general manager, assistant manager, whatever the case may be. Take very good care and caution in terms of who you place in a role to sell your gym, all right, or to enroll members or whatever, because this was a very bad case, a case that went way wrong. And so we're on this tour. He knows nothing. And I mean, literally, yeah, those machines over there, a lot of people use them, but I don't know what they do. I mean, just constantly as we're walking around the gym, and didn't know gym out. I mean, just whatever. And like I said, a good person, nothing personal, but just the sales process was broken. Okay, and that's how gyms, in terms of signing up people, that's how they lose people. That's how people don't sign up. That's how people leave. That's how people will step foot in your facility and never come back again, and you'll never know. Okay, so take good care. Make sure the people that are giving tours know their stuff. Okay, and this, of course, doesn't just apply to gyms, in any type of business, in any type of organization. Okay, product knowledge is essential to sales, product and service knowledge. Okay, as well as company and organizational knowledge, because people will ask you questions, and it's so important, and it's far more persuasive to get someone to do something when you actually know what you're talking about. Okay, so had that instance, but we're on this tour, and there was a couple of laughable moments where We're walking in. They've got a CrossFit, a nice CrossFit area, and they've got CrossFit classes and all of that with an instructor. And so we walk in there, and there's young kids in there. It had to be high school, blasting music with obscenities and all that cursing and profanity and all of that. And so he was startled when that happened, because again, that's more in line with what he's supposed to do. Is what's going on in this facility, yada yada. So we walked in there, and he had walkie-talkie, he had to call his boss, and this is what's going on. So he was rushing me at the end of the tour to get back in there and handle that situation. So that was that. And so the following morning, got a guest pass before I left, came back on the fitness holiday, went in and worked out, had a good workout. It was hot in there. And so, but part of that's just Louisiana, and they turn on their AC, as I learned, at about 7 o'clock in the morning. So I was earlier than that. So anyway, worked out, had a good workout. But folks, I was on the recumbent bike, and it was so funny. I mean, it was funny, but it was also shocking. Again, which is why on Fitness Fridays, I always say, have a clue, managers and leaders, have a clue what's going on in your facilities. Because I'm sitting on the recumbent bike, it's about 7:30 in the morning, and I see this guy. Again, the recumbent bikes are next to the main aisle. So the main aisle, walking through the door, here's the cardio, the weight machines are right behind it. You walk straight, and there's the Olympic pool. And so I'm sitting here on the recumbent bike next to the aisle, and I see this guy kind of panicking, walking this way, and I see him kind of panicking, then he stops and turns around. And folks, there's a German Shepherd on a leash just roaming the aisles. And so clearly someone had brought their dog to the gym, perhaps wanted to tie it up outside, and didn't really feel like doing it once they got there. So the dog, this big dog, is roaming the halls. And so folks, as I often say, no matter what type of business you own, no matter what type of business you're thinking about owning, from a leadership perspective, even from an organizational, it doesn't even have to be a business, just have a clue what's going on in your facility. Because in that particular instance, that's a liability walking around. If that dog would have run up and bit somebody, okay, that's the facility's fault for not monitoring what's going on in the facility. You've got a big loose dog on a leash walking around the facility. And so it was funny, but as I stated, I did send an email once I got back to the executive director. Of course, not about that. And there's a TRX instructor that was clearly absolutely not fit, and I was just okay, but whatever. But sent a nice email to the executive director, but not about that, not about the TRX instructor needing to work on their own fitness, or the the dog, whatever situation. They'll hopefully figure that out before they end up getting sued. But on that broken sales process, listen, Mr. So-and-so, and also copy the operations manager. This is a state-of-the-art facility. I want you all to succeed, but this sales process is broken. You've got to work on this. You've got to get this right. Because as I was talking when I went in, the morning I worked out, I was talking to the wonderful, nice front desk person. And he told me, we've got about 500 members so far. Because again, I'm asking questions. I'm thinking, okay, they've got a broken sales process. How are they doing in terms of enrolling new members? And so he says, we've got about 500 people so far. And I said, okay. And he said, our goal. And I said, so how many members are you guys looking to gain? And then he said, well, we need 1,200 members in order to pay our bills and yada, yada. And I was thinking to myself, man, commercial gyms, 60,000 square feet would absolutely die. Would love to have the opportunity to just have 1,200 members in order to do what they need to do. But again, we know YMCAs are subsidized, and those are community-based gyms, so funding sources are different. And so their goals and membership needs and all of that are very different. So, but I thought to myself, okay, again, you need 700 members at this point. Okay, don't lose, I'm thinking to myself, and thinking on behalf of leadership, don't lose potential members. You can have 3,000, 4,000 members in this facility easily, but you're going to lose them with a broken sales process. You're going to struggle, and once you're struggling and the heat is on and the pressure's on, you're going to begin to start operating like a commercial facility, and there's going to be pressure on your people to enroll people and get members in, and I don't want to see a YMC do that. So I sent an email, humbly just stating, hey, I want you guys to succeed, which is the truth. I mean, it's a wonderful facility, and it's certainly a threat to all of the other fitness facilities in that area, as is always the case when the new big dog comes in town. And so just felt the need to share that. I wasn't undercover, but I want to see them succeed. I want to see each and every one of you succeed. That's why I do what I do. That's why I do these episodes. That's why I go undercover. That's why sometimes I want to share feedback when I'm not even undercover, because I'm always 24/7 about the success of other people, other corporations, businesses, and organizations. And so, folks, just wanted to share those highlights from my trip back home. As you can see, I got a new hat, got several new LSU items. My parents always hook me up. But it was a sad occasion, but it was a wonderful visit. But folks, don't take your family for granted. Just celebrate each and every moment that you have, because they certainly will not last forever. Thanks so much for your time. Make it a wonderful day.